Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Doris and I'm here to share with you about top 10 international financial news in 2022. First one, the outbreak of the Russian-Ukrainian war and the turbulence of the global market have affected the energy and food markets. On February 24th, 2022, as the Russian-Ukrainian conflict escalated into a hot war, the struggle quickly turned into a war of attrition between Russia and Western countries, such as the United States and the European Union. As Western countries threw round after round of sanctions, crude oil, agriculture products, and industrial metals that are closely related to Russia and Ukraine have begun to skyrocket. And markets such as London nickel have even appeared destructive, and the resulting liquidity problems have not been repaired by the end of the year. Under the chain reaction of special military operations and economic sanctions, the world stock market, foreign exchange market, crude oil, grain and non-ferrous metal futures market have repeatedly fluctuated. The energy crisis, food crisis, and inflation crisis caused by the Russia-Ukrainian conflict have swept many European countries. IMF Managing Director Georgieva has previously said that the Russia-Ukraine conflict has caused a huge setback to the global economic recovery, and its impact will lead to a downward revision of economic growth forecast for 143 economies, which account for 86% of the global economy. Inflationary pressures intensify, household debt has swelled sharply, and costs for global recession are growing. Inflation is the most important keyword for the global economy in 2022. Currently, global inflation at its highest level in decades. On October 11th local time, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) said in the World Economic Outlook that global inflation is expected to rise from 4.7% in 2021 to 8.8% in 2022, but will fall to 6.5% in 2023 and 4.1% in 2024. Long before the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, soaring commodity prices, supply-demand imbalances has triggered a sharp rise in inflation. In the United States and parts of Europe, inflation has reached its highest level in more than 40 years against the backdrop of tight labor markets. After the outbreak of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, the United States and Europe launched round after round of sanctions against Russia, and commodity prices soared, further increasing inflationary pressure. Number 3, the Federal Reserve's aggressive interest rate hike. The global financial market trembled. A strong dollar triggered a global currency depreciation. The continued high temperature of inflation forced the Fed to urgently raise the interest rate. Since March, the Fed has raised interest rates 7 times in a row, including 4 consecutive 75 basis point hikes. The federal funds rate rose rapidly from near zero to between 4.25% and 4.5% in less than a year, the Fed's most aggressive rate hike since the curbing high inflation in the early 80s. Due to multiple considerations such as curbing inflation and stabilizing local currency exchange rates, many central banks around the world have announced interest rate hikes. 2022 can be described as a super year for central banks to raise interest rates. According to incomplete statistics, the world's major central banks have raised interest rates more than 300 times this year. Nearly 50 central banks have executed a rare single 75 basis point rate hike, according to a World Bank study released in mid-September. Global central banks are raising interest rates at a pace not seen in the past 50 years, a trend that could continue into next year, plunging the world economy into recession and causing lasting damage to emerging market and developing economies. Number 4. The most aggressive tax cut plan triggers market panic. British politics welcomes 3 prime ministers in 7 weeks. The uncertainty of the economic outlook has increased sharply. On October 25th, local time, Sunak, a young man of Indian descent who has just been elected as the leader of the British Conservative Party, was appointed by King Charles III of the United Kingdom at Buckingham Palace and officially became the new Prime Minister of United Kingdom. And he's also the 3rd Prime Minister in British politics in just 7 weeks, just before people waved goodbye to Johnson, who had to resign due to a Partygate scandal, and Truss, who was troubled by the new tax cuts. In the eyes of many people, Truss's lightspeed downfall is related to its mini-budget scheme. In an effort to stimulate the economy, British Chancellor of the Exchequer, Kwasi Kwarteng, who took off office alongside Truss, announced the most aggressive tax cuts since 1974. But after the new measures were announced, the pound fell, and the British government bonds sold off violently. The Bank of England had to rush to the rescue of the market and stabilize the financial market by buying bonds on a large scale. The ruling party is in an unstable position, and the British economy is also in a stormy place, according to the International Monetary Fund's latest forecast in October. The UK's economy is expected to grow by 3.6% in 2022 and fell sharply to 0.3% in 2023. Biden's signing of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 has caused dissatisfaction in Europe. The trade dispute between Europe and the United States has escalated. In August, U.S. President Joe Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act, some of which stipulate that the U.S. government would provide high subsidies for electric vehicles-related industries manufactured in its hometown. The move sparked dissatisfaction in European Union countries. On November 25th, local time, the ministers responsible for trade affairs of European Union member states gathered at Brussels, at which all parties were deeply worried about the introduction of the Inflation Reduction Act by the United States, believing that the subsidies in the bill discriminated against the European Union automobile, renewable energy, battery and energy-intensive industries, and had a significant impact on the European Union's industrial competitiveness and investment decisions. Under the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, high energy prices in Europe have led many energy industrial companies to consider relocating out, and many top European think tank experts have expressed concern about this. If the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act takes effect in 2023, it may really give a rise to the phenomenon transatlantic relocation. Number 6. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was shot and killed. Abenomics may accelerate with its withdrawal from the historical stage. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated during a speech in Nara City on July 8th, shot in the chest, and sent to the hospital for treatment, and died of excessive blood loss at the age of 67. As the longest-serving prime minister in Japanese history, Shinzo Abe has pursued a series of stimulus economic policies known as Abenomics in an effort to reverse 20 years of stagnation in the Japanese economy. With the death of Shinzo Abe, Japan's economy policy of Abe's three arrows for 10 years have been a hotspot in the market. At present, many people believe that the most important era of Abenomics, ultra-loose monetary policy, is becoming anachronistic due to the adherence of a loose policy stance. Since the beginning of this year, the yen exchange rate has fallen endlessly, once falling below the 150 yen mark of $1 to 150 yen, refreshing the 32-year low. In the post-Abe era, although Kishida Fumio continued to the quantitative easing policy of Abenomics in the economy, he has also tried to find a different way in the economic field to reflect his independence. There is a view that Kishida's neoliberal economic ideas are gradually replacing Abenomics, making them less and less influential. Number 7. Russian oil price limit order stirs up the global energy market. Russia launched countermeasures to ban the export of Russian oil to cut customers with price limit to Russia. The G7 and Australia announced in early December that they would join the European Union in setting a price cap of $60 per barrel for crude oil exported by sea from Russia, effective December 5th. According to this price ceiling, if the price of oil exceeds the threshold of $60 per barrel, it will be prohibited to provide insurance, financial and other services for Russian oil transportation, since the most important shipping and insurance companies are located in the G7 companies. The price cap will make it difficult for Russia to sell its oil at higher prices. But Russia said it will not accept this and warned that such a move would jeopardize the European Union's energy security. On Tuesday, December 27th, local time, the Kremlin announced that Russian President Putin signed a presidential decree responding to the implementation of special economic measures for overseas countries that impose the highest prices on Russian oil and petroleum products. The presidential decree requires a ban on the supply of Russian oil and petroleum products to overseas entities and individuals who comply with the above-mentioned price limits. Affected by the sanctions, Russia's seaborne oil exports fell significantly. Russian crude oil loading in Russian ports averaged 2.66 million barrels per day from December 1st to December 21st, down to 426,000 per barrel. Down to 426,000 barrels per day, or 14% from November's daily loading level, S&P data showed. As of December 21st, Russia's December seaborne crude oil exports have fallen to their lowest level since January 21st, 2021. 8. FTX bankruptcy aggravates the collapse of cryptocurrency circle. Crypto market confidence has been hit hard, and the SEC had tightened regulatory policies. On November 11th, FTX, once one of the world's largest cryptocurrency trading platforms, filed for bankruptcy protection, and 130 affiliated entities also went bankrupt, which also meant that the FTX empire completely collapsed. This is the most high-profile thunderstorm event in the cryptocurrency circle to date. Previously, FTX suffered a severe liquidity crisis before its main competitor, Binance, gave up on bailing it out, which led investors to flee in a hurry, and the cryptocurrency traders withdrew billions of dollars from the platform in just 3 days. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried has been extradited to the United States and faces a series of fraud charges. The impact of this Lehman crisis in the cryptocurrency circle is also spreading to the crypto industry. Since the beginning of this year, as the price of cryptocurrency and its, such as Bitcoin, has fallen, the attitude of mainstream financial institutions towards cryptocurrencies has also changed sharply, and many hedge funds, wealthy family offices in Europe and the United States, etc., have sold their crypto assets. The sudden leakage of Nord Stream natural gas pipelines has become suspicious of the black hands behind the scenes, and many parties point to the deliberate attack. On September 26, Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, Russia's submarine pipelines that carry natural gas to Europe, leaked from 4 locations in the exclusive economic zones of Denmark and Sweden. Danish and Swedish seismic monitoring agencies observed strong shaking in the area where the leak sites were located that day and believed that there was an explosion. And then Russia, the European Union, and the United States all said that the explosion was caused by man-made damage, and Russian President Putin said that the Nord Stream gas pipeline was hit by unprecedented international terrorist attack. European gas rose 12% on September 27th due to severe damage to pipelines caused by explosions that were difficult to repair in a short period of time. Analysts believe that in such a short term, The Nord Stream incident has completely cut off the possibility of Russia resuming gas supplies to Europe through the Nord Stream pipeline. The suspension of Nord Stream made the importance of Turkish Stream highlighted. Putin proposed that Russia could transfer gas transported through the Nord Stream to the Black Sea direction and supply gas to Europe through Turkey. Turkish president has agreed to build an international gas supply hub with Russia in Turkey and has instructed Turkey's Prime Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources to cooperate with relevant Russian ministries. Number 10. The total global population has passed the 8 million mark, and the aging population of the declining birth rate has become a global issue. India will become the most populous country by 2023. According to the United Nations World Population Prospects 2022 report, the global population reached 8 billion on November 15, 2022. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said in a statement that this milestone moment, the international community celebrates diversity and development progress while also thinking about humanity's responsibility to the planet. According to the United Nations, the global population is expected to rise to around 8.5 billion by 2030, 9.7 billion in 2050, peaking at about 10.4 billion in the 80s, and continue until 2100. In addition, increased life expectancy, combined with declining fertility rates, will exacerbate the aging of the global population. Global population growth trends showed significant regional differences. By 2050, 8 countries, Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, the Philippines, and Tanzania, will provide more than half of the global population growth. Among them, the population of Congo and Tanzania is expected to double in the next 30 years, while India is expected to become one of the most populous countries as early as 2023 and reach 1.7 billion by 2050. That's all I have for today. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you next episode.